Hello, testing, testing, testing. All right, guys. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to shut the countdown off. And we are going today from Bogota, El Dorado International Airport to Quito, Mariscal Sucre International Airport. And we're flying Wingo. Wingo is headquartered here in Bogota and is owned by Copa Holdings, and they're a regional carrier, and this is one of their routes that they fly. So we're lucky to have it. And this is their only MAX aircraft. They fly 737-800s, and this is the only MAX. Fictitious, I have to add. Okay, so the deal about these two airports is they're both considered high altitude. Now, this is especially high altitude, sort of near the edge of capabilities for aircraft that don't have the high altitude upgrade package. This airport here is about 8,300 feet, and the limit for non-high altitude spec aircraft is 737s is 8,400. So we're departing very close to the limit of this aircraft, and we're arriving in Quito. It's a little bit less stressful, but I think that airfield is about 7,700 feet, and so we're still several hundred feet away from the limit. So these high altitude airfields, because the air is thinner, means that the aircraft requires more speed to get the equivalent lift at a lower altitude. So that's going to be the challenge today. It's going to be a long takeoff requirement, and so I'm not doing any derates for the takeoff out of Bogota. And then for the arrival, I've already done some calculations. It's a very long runway, 13,000 feet, and high altitude is probably one reason for it. But it is also a big cargo field with a large aircraft coming in at high altitude. So I've done my calculations. We can double check it, but I think we'll be fine for the landing. Okay, we are all set up. We are all set up, and there's our aircraft ready for pushback. No ATC today, unfortunately. The other thing we don't have is an operative first officer's CDU again. Sorry about that. It's a very finicky connection or something. And it's not a. We're still MEL, so minimum equipment list. We got one CDU working. Usually I like to get to that first officer CDO just in time to put the progress page on, but didn't make it today. I hit the init ref. I didn't get to the progress page. Okay, so let us get the APU started so that we can disconnect from ground power. So we were supposed to depart at 20:30. Then I pushed that out to 21:45, but now it looks like we'll be able to push back by 21. So we're going to be 45 minutes early versus our current schedule. Okay, APU. See that flashing means things are going on. It is a low oil pressure indicator, but that's what happens when you're starting up the APU. When these blue lights, I don't think you can see the blue lights. You can see, okay, see that middle blue light you can't see, but you can see the light reflecting from my finger. So that means the APU is available, and now we're going to do APU on the bus. And we can check the APU is generating power. Up here you can't see that. When we've got bleeds on, so I think we're good to remove the ground power. Okay, let's remove the ground power. Okay, ground power is removed. Now let's disconnect. Disconnect the power and the air from the ground. Okay, so this scenery that we're in is default, but it's got roughly the right configuration for the airport. The Quito airport that we're going to, I've got the Flight Beam Studios scenery. You can see those mountains around this airfield. They're covered by clouds, so it's misleading that you think it looks so low. But yep, there's some good mountains out there. So we're doing a runway 32 right departure today. Sorry, 32 left departure. Let's double check that. Oh, I think we are going to change that. It should be a 32 left. And let's see, 32 left. I've got it plugged in correctly here. A Vapor 4R with our Ortega transition. That Ortega transition. Okay. Now let's just check that. There's no discontinuities. And of course there is. Okay, we're good there, and now we just got to go back and put our V speeds back in. Okay. Okay, APU's on. So now before we ask for pushback, let's check we've done everything. Flight deck doors closed. Fuel, let's put the pumps on, and the fuel calculation is correct. We got the right amount of fuel. Passenger signs are on, windows locked. Mode control panel is set. Let's double check that. V2 left. There is all at or above, and then there's one at 12, so I'd say 12,000 feet is our initial altitude. Okay, we're good. Alright, so let's do the taxi briefing first. So you can see where we're parked. It's at gate 74. And so we're just going to push back facing right or northwest. And then we'll taxi along Foxtrot. And then make a left onto Papa. and then go all the way down to Kilo and make a left onto Kilo and go down to Kilo 7 and then line up 32 left. That is our taxi plan. Okay, and now looking at, and then it's going to be step to the next one is between 12 and 14,000 feet. Yep. And we have that restriction. Then as we move on, Bravo Oscar 527 for the VAPOM 4 Romeo. We want to be at exactly at flight level 200. Let's have a look at that. Bravo Oscar 27, yep, 200. And then Bravo Oscar 552. Yeah, again, also, so we're pretty much leveling out there. And then at VAPOM, we're also at flight level 200. And then at Orega, that's when we can be above 200. And our cruise altitude is only flight level 230. We'll take a look at that when we are airborne. The arrivals is kind of exciting. We'll just cover that when we are in the air. So right now we're set for our departure. Plan view, even less than 40. We are ready for pushback. So let's call for help. Okay, all doors closed.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Hey, hey, that's cool. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, thanks for joining. This is gonna be fun.
Departure checks completed.
Default scenery, but the flight beam scenery on the other end is good. Also, we got a nice, interesting approach with mountains all around. Glad you're joining us. Okay, yeah, it's a bit weird. The comments come in, but my YOLO box, which I'm
Locking gear.
using for the video, is to my left, so it's not in my view. I gotta remember to keep looking back at it to see the comments. So I apologize if you had left that a while ago, but we're good. So I'm pushing back, facing right. And we are way ahead of schedule, but by the stroke of luck, all our 180 passengers happen to be at the gate early. Okay, so we are going to go pushing nose to the right.
Release parking brakes, please.
Okay, we have released parking brakes.
Commencing push.
2102 is our pushback time.
Start at wheel.
Oh, okay, he's gonna let us start. That's nice. Okay, let's start engine number 2. All right, we're motoring. N2 is 20.9. We need 25 to start the fuel flow. Motoring. Okay, N2 rising, motoring off. 24, 25 fuel flow on.
Please set parking brakes.
Parking brake set.
Unlocking gear.
N2 51. We need 63 for the starters to switch off. Alright, engine 2 has started up, now engine 1.
Total disconnecting. Bypass pin remover. Left is clear. Right is clear.
Thanks, buddy. Motoring 20.8. Okay, N2 rising, 25% fuel flow on. So the airline is called Wingo, but the call sign is Aero Republica, and our flight number is 7063, so we are Aero Republica 7063. N2 rising. I think you can see the call sign up in this area here. You can also see it when I've got it on the progress page at the top there, Republica 7063. But I need us for takeoff to be on the takeoff ref page. Okay, we have 2 engines started up, so let's put engine 2 on the bus, engine 1 on the bus. Okay, we've got dual bleeds on right now, but we only need Gen 1 generating, Gen 2 generating power. Okay, so let us take the APU bleed off and switch the APU off. Okay. Should have had the packs on off for the start, but we managed to do it without that. Okay. Good there. Okay. Let's do the scan flow. Your damper is on. Switches are normal. Crossfeeds bright. Dim. Bright. Okay. Fuel is set as necessary. The center tanks can be off. Okay, wipers parked. Taxi light can go on. Start switches to continuous. Probe heats on. Anti-ice We don't need it right now. Okay. Okay, so flight altitude, we have it. Strangely, SimBrief gave me flight level 230,000 until you begin your descent and then set the landing altitude, the actual landing altitude. So that's what we have done. Okay, anti-collision light on. Alright, so let's put flaps to 5 and check our controls. Right, left, center, forward, centered, back, centered. Check the rudders, left, centered, right, centered. And we have 5.8 on the trim required, 5.8 on the trim set. Okay, fuel flow reset. Okay folks, we are ready to taxi. So we're gonna notify. El Dorado traffic. Aero Republica 7063 is taxiing out of gate 74 via Foxtrot, Papa, Kilo 7 to holding point runway 32 left. El Dorado traffic. Alright folks, enjoy the flight. It'll be, emergency light should be on. It'll be about an hour, under an hour and 10 minutes in the air. Maybe a bit longer because we had to set up for runway 36 as opposed to 18 on the arrival. Okay, parking brakes off. Give us a bit of juice. So we're looking to make a left onto Papa, if it's labeled correctly here. So, aviation enthusiast, you still there? Okay. So now we're looking for Kilo, which will probably be as far as you can go and then you have to turn, but this doesn't look like it. Interesting, it calls this Mike. Well, we're gonna turn here anyway. I think this is Kilo in the plan. Okay, we're backtracking runway 32 left right now. Where the clouds look a bit digital in some spots. Okay, so for anybody that just joined, my apologies, but my first officer CDU is in-op. You get a nice presentation of the ident page, but I really wanted it to be on the progress page and then put this one on the legs page, but I'm gonna have to multi-function this Captain CDU, but we should be fine. Many people operate with just one CDU, though in the real aircraft that's not really a thing. Okay, I think we're coming up to our turn here. It's good that the threshold was not that far away from our parking spot. Not necessarily by design. I think it was just good fortune. Okay, let's get down to 10 knots before turning. So this should be Kilo 7, but it doesn't say that. Mike November 1 it says.
Approaching 3-1 left.
El Dorado traffic, Republica, Aero radar on. Let's check. Oh, what happened here? Did I get disconnected? I did. Okay, we're reconnected now. Let's refile our flight plan. Okay, strobes on. Okay, before takeoff checklist. Flaps are set in green, flaps 5. Stabilizer trim, we've discussed that. 5.8 units required, 5.8 units set. Before takeoff checklist completed. El Dorado traffic, Aero Republica 7063 is lining up and taking off runway 32 left on a Vapor 4 Romeo departure, first waypoint Orega. El Dorado traffic. Okay, let's line up. So this again, I mentioned that this is not a no derates on this takeoff. Just because of the high altitude, and I don't have a performance calculator.
80 knots.
Release forward pressure. Rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Flaps 1. Command mode. carry on. Okay. Flaps. Up. Eldorado traffic. Aero Republica 7063 is airborne passing 12,000 for 17,000. It was very labored. I could feel it. We took up a lot more runway than we would at sea level. Lucky I didn't derate anything. We still had room on the runway, but this is a pretty long runway. This is 12,500 foot runway. Okay, now we're clear. We are on our departures. We've set 17,000, but I think we're going to stay at 12,000 until after Bravo Oscar 549er. Wow, look at these mountains. That is. Engine bleeds are on, packs are on, auto. Landing gear is up, then flaps are up, no lights. After takeoff checklist completed. Okay, after this waypoint, actually we should have put 14,000, but anyway, we're going to start climbing now to 14,000. So it will be up to a maximum of 14,000. Even though we have 17,000 in the mode control panel, it's not going to go above 14,000 until we're after that Bravo Oscar 505 waypoint. Okay, and we're going to have no trouble with that one. Next waypoint for Vapor 4 Romeo is flight level 200. So we'll increase this up to 200. Bravo Oscar 505. Okay. And we had 10.7 remaining. Okay. Okay, that's good. 10.7. So we got more fuel than the plan. Clear up the clouds now. Folks can get out of their seat and we can turn the lights off. Engine start switches to auto. Yeah, if I go over to my cruise page, you see that's nuts. Optimum is like 380 and I'm at 230. So we got to get past these initial waypoints. Is there any more restrictions? Orega is at or above 200. So after VAPOM, we can climb higher. We'll set it to our planned cruise, which is 230. See how much time we got left to get to where we're going. Going to the progress page. 22:28 is when we should get there. 22:28, which is like in an hour. Yeah, we got time to go higher. So let's just climb to flight level 310 and leave it at that. That's not all the way to what our VNAV would suggest, but it's better than where we are now. We'll split the difference. Okay, sound good? Alright. Okay, barometers to standard. We are gonna get climbing up to flight level 310 with a modified plan after waypoint VATSIM Unicom traffic. Okay, so how we can do that is we go to the VNAV page and we're just gonna change our cruise altitude to 310 and execute that. Now that has been updated. That's 310. It's in the VNAV, so now we just need to put it in here. Remember, the CDU is the computer is holding us to the current flight level 200. Well, it's just above the clouds here. Oh, just skimming the top of the clouds. So VATSIM is the last just the last waypoint where our altitude is being held to flight level 200. So anybody who's watching, can you see any glitches happening? I've been having some issues with 4K skipping frames. Okay, we're gonna almost ready to start climbing again. Okay, VATSIM 9.9. Okay, we're tracking well for fuel. And we're climbing again. We're just looking at our overall route. That's how far we've progressed, and we're going along the mountains. Only to descend at the end into a valley, and that's going to be a very interesting arrival. So right here we're just going a direct Anbal to Quito, and then Quito we start heading south, and look at this, we're hugging the edges of the mountains and then coming back to land. That's going to be an awesome arrival. Awesome arrival. Okay, looking at so we can plug in the ILS frequency, which is 109.3. 109.3, both sides. Okay, and the course is 2 degrees. for the Cat 2 ILS. Okay, the minimums here for a while. 8,040 feet. Okay, so while I'm winding that, I'm taking a look at the missed approach. Looks like missed approach altitude is flight level 180, 18,000 feet. Look at this climb gradient that we're on. This is not a derated climb, but we're only doing 1,150 feet per minute. That is like a very slow climb. Now we're increasing. Look at that, 1,500. Interesting. Wow. Look, I'm at on the barrow. I'm at 4,000 now. Halfway there. I need 8,040 for the minimums. Set. Okay. And it's really, we'll get to fly to Quito. Quito is a VOR, but I guess I could tune to Quito, which is 115.3. I only need one side for the ILS. I need two sides if I want to do an auto land, but I'm not planning to. So just out of interest, I could just leave it on Quito and it'll show up on my right hand side VOR when we're in range, and we're not there yet. Okay, so then we're gonna fly this and we're gonna loop around this little tight arc here, max 180 knots. So we want to be conscious of that. Also, on the descent, we want to remember to reset the altitude, landing altitude, which is going to be 7,910. Right now it's 6,000. On descent, we want to change the landing altitude to 7,910. Okay, one thing we do have working for us is it's an ILS, so we should be able to engage that without any difficulty at all. Okay, fuel check. Ray gun 1023. Okay, yeah, the winds are from 40. Okay, so it's still suitable for a approach from the south. 7 knots, so split that in half. It's about a 3 knot headwind. We'll call it a 3 knot headwind.
Ladies and gentlemen, the flight attendant will
I have a calculator here.
through the cabin to offer various beverages of your choice. There will also be a selection of goods available for purchase, and we can accept most credit cards, checks and cash. If there's anything you can do to make your trip more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask.
Okay, QNH is 1023. No slope, outside air temperature. Take a look at this. Okay, Mariscal Sucre. I'm not sure how to say that. Temperature is 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, and it's probably going to drop lower than that. Broken at 10,000, scattered at 3,000. The airport chart. So it's a 13,445 foot runway, and all I care about is, if possible, I'd like to vacate at Alpha 3. So Alpha 3, you know, just very approximately is about 2/3 of the runway. Okay, so let's call it 65% of that distance. So 0.65 times 13,445 equals. So we need 8,739 feet stopping distance. So looking at our calculator, we can get that. Looking at our calculator, we can get that if we do auto brakes 3 with reverse thrusters. So that's what we'll do. Now, worst case scenario, it's not going to kill us. We could just roll further forward. But I have seen jumbos and 777s coming in and stopping for that Alpha 3. So we should be able to do it. Okay, and that's what I'm setting up. We're going to set up 4 auto brakes 3. Okay, right now our landing fuel, if we assume the plan is correct, we'll monitor along the way. 6.3, so 6,300 pounds of fuel is what we expect. 6.3, and plus, I think we're set. We've done the approach briefing. Remember, when we're beginning to descend, we want to set that altitude. So let me just write down what that altitude is. $7,900. On descent, set landing out to 7,900. This can only do increments of 50, I think. Okay, folks, this is too awesome. Top of descent in 186 miles at 20:07, and now it's 21:43. So we have 35 minutes. 17 plus 7, 24 minutes till our top of descent. Okay, Mon V 8.8. Okay, yeah, as I suspected, now that we're cruising, we're now gaining back some of that fuel because we're at a high altitude. Alright, I'm taking the opportunity for some coffee. Okay, so I'm going to edit the video. I'm going to upload a thumbnail. Wow. Look at that terrain. It's awesome. Projected time of arrival is still the same. It's 12 plus 7, 19 minutes. So I have to do a shout out to Captain Vincent, good friend, for giving me the guidance on how to handle special circumstance of these being high altitude airports. So the guidance was, as I've already discussed, setting the landing altitude at 6,000 until descent, and then setting the actual, which is 7,910. And then the other thing he cautioned me on is, we're operating at a high altitude, but just to keep in mind that you can't extend your flaps. Oh, that's interesting. You know, othering. So yeah, so you can't extend any flaps above 20,000 feet. So that'll be a check that we do before we can extend any flaps. Okay, let's Hey, I see that aviation enthusiast, you subscribe. Hey, appreciate it, buddy. Okay, let's go back to our map. $110 miles, 111 miles to top of descent, 187 miles to landing. So our projected landing time is 22:24, which is in about half an hour. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's still jammed. We're picking up that Quito now. You can see here DME 137. So once we pass that, we can flip that back to the ILS frequency, which I can double check again is 109.3, and that's set here, and that's set on the standby on the right side. So Mike Echo Romeo. I think this original flight plan was assumed. Oh, let me just check to see if that's the case. I can't tell here, but I think it did assume landing from the north. So we may end up burning a little bit more fuel. So I think, and even though we're already ahead 300 pounds, we might burn up that excess 14443, and I think that was planned. Yeah. Okay, sector coming up. Sector 7.7. We're not using an arrival star. For this particular approach, we're going direct to the waypoint Quito and just wrapping around. There's a nice little valley that the airfield is in, and we're just going to circle. It's almost like rolling a metal marble around a solid bowl, descending in. Okay, you can see a little bit of weather around. Kind of spotty. And it looks like we're above it all. It'll be more of a concern when we get down. Now you can see our top of descent over here. that to be our next altitude. Now, just to prepare for it, our gate number we're shooting for is gate 12. So looking at the arrivals, daylight. So if we are able to vacate at Alpha 3, very aggressive to try it too, and I don't think we can make that. Alpha 3, we just turn around, come back, and come back on Alpha, and then make a right onto Juliet, and then a left onto Charlie, and then there's 12 right there. So our top of descent is going to be right after Anbal, right after Anbal. One more check on the QNH. SEQM. What? Oh, 6 inches. Yeah, it is. So different countries use different units. Okay. But we'll just double check it here. Okay, current METAR at Mariscal. Okay, 59 degrees. It is cooling down. Overcast, thunderstorm with rain. Wow. I don't know what that means. Just call it bad. 30. Pressure 3 inches. Okay, so which is 3024. Okay, so auto brakes 3 should still be our number. And I'm going to use the second detent for the reverse thrusters, although the brakes are probably going to contribute. Well, if it's wet in contaminated runway, then your reverse thrusters will have more of an impact. So I should be ready to use them. Do another fuel check at Duku. wind up here apparently. Okay, Dubku 7.2. Mariscal traffic, Aero Republica 7063 is 5 miles from top of descent. We'll be descending down directly for the Quito VOR, and from there we will be doing the ILS Zulu runway 36 Cat 2 arrival into Mariscal traffic. Okay folks, we are descending now. Let's do our descent checklist. Descent checklist. Pressurization, landing altitude, we've got to correct that to 7,910. Okay, 7,900 is the closest. Okay, we almost in. Okay. Hello, welcome aboard. Unfortunately, I can't understand what you're saying, but welcome aboard. Okay, we are descending now through flight level 258 for 180, through flight level 258 for 180. We're landing at Quito, and Quito is a high altitude airport, about 7,800 feet in elevation. So some special considerations: do not extend flaps until you are below flight level 200, and we had to reset the landing altitude during the descent. So we're just monitoring carefully. It's going to be an ILS landing. Quito VOR is 13 miles away. Once we get there, we're going to reset the nav radio on the first officer side to the ILS frequency. But We have two ways of measuring Quito distance right now. The top one is the waypoint, the bottom one is the actual VOR. It's interesting to see the difference. The VOR reading is slightly longer than the waypoint one, because the waypoint is a lateral distance, whereas the VOR is from altitude down to the actual VOR. So the VOR is always going to be slightly bigger than the waypoint distance. Anyway, let's switch that over now. So now we've got the ILS set up there. Okay. Slow down a little bit. Okay, we're almost to the 20,000 max flap altitude. Okay, let's toggle the altitude restriction down to, next one looks like 14,200. Let's do that. $14,200. And way at the other end there, we need to be down at 180 knots. So we have a decel coming up. Okay, let's put the side switches on continuous, get folks in their seats. Look at that tall peak straight ahead. This approach is 18,000 feet. Once we captured the ILS, we need to put the MCP altitude back up to the 18,000 feet.
Captain speaking, we're going to be landing in about 15 minutes. I appreciate it if you return to
Okay, let's slow down.
this time.
Standard.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our approach, we ask that you please check, make sure that your seatbelt first, turn the back, pull the tight across your lap. Please return to the seat back and transfer to a forward 31 position. If you have
Okay, 250, flaps 1. We'll keep it at 200 knots. Actually, we want 180 though. We need flaps 2. No, we need less than that. Flaps 5. Then it's 10,500. And that's 10,500 will be the intercept. Going through the DME arc now.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask that you store any electronic devices until we are safely parked at the gate, as the use of such devices could interfere with the electronic landing equipment on board the aircraft. In final preparation for landing, please ensure your seatbelts are securely fastened, your seat backs are in the upright position,
It's
and your
our
tray
intercept
tables are
right here.
stowed. Any hand luggage should be underneath the seat in front of you or placed in the overhead locker. The flight attendants will be passing through the cabin one last time to complete their final compliance check and to collect any remaining caps or glasses.
Alright, let's do gear down. Lights on. Lights on. Flaps 15. Okay, we have Warlock and glide slope. Mariscal traffic. Aero Republica 7063 is on the ILS runway 36, and we should be landing shortly. Okay, let's get down. Flaps 30. We need 150 knots. And we need to reset the
Caution, terrain.
altimeter to
Caution, terrain.
close to terrain, but that's right. It's, altimeter to 18,000, which is the missed approach. Okay. Landing checklist. Engine start switches to continuous, speed brakes armed, landing gear down, flaps set and green. Landing checklist completed, and approach checklist altimeters has been checked. Okay, radio altimeter 1,460 feet. Looking good, but you see the mountains all around us. Wow. Okay, let's see a runway diagram now. I'm expecting Alpha 3 to be able to make Alpha 3. Runway in sight. Mariscal traffic, Aero Republica 7063 is 4 miles final. Runway in sight. Wow, check it out. Look at this valley.
1,000.
So like I said, we're going to try to do second detent on the reverse thrusters. You can see the furthest, almost like whitish colored taxi exit. Okay, let me focus here.
Approaching 3, 6.
Check. Check.
Approaching minimums.
Auto throttle disconnect.
Minimums.
Landing.
300.
Check.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Reverses. All right. .35 knots. So we had room to spare for this exit, which is the way it was designed. Well, we predicted also for poor weather, but we'll do
Ladies and gentlemen, it will take the
nicely there.
captain a few moments to taxi to the gate, and we ask that you remain seated with your
we are
seatbelt
vacating at
securely
the
fastened until the
exit we
seatbelt
planned,
sign has
Alpha
been turned
3.
off and the aircraft comes to a complete stop at the gate. That will be the
Mariscal
only
traffic.
indication that it is safe to get
Aero
up and move about the cabin.
Republica 7063 is Alpha
This
3.
is the termination of our
And
flight,
we'll be
so we
taxiing
ask
to
that you check
gate
the seatbelt pockets and overhead
12.
lockers for any articles you may have brought with you. Extra care should be taken when opening overhead lockers, as some items may have shifted during our flight. On behalf of the captain and his
Let's
crew,
just
we would like to thank you
hang
for
here
flying
a
with
bit.
us and wish you all a pleasant
Just
stay.
activate the
Thank
gate.
you.
Should be gate 12. And you don't need to follow me. We kind of know where it is. Okay, so landing lights off. Let's get the APU started up and light to steady. Alright, let's make our way. Doubling back on Alpha. Oh, that was a good landing. Very nice. If we had more visibility, we would have enjoyed the terrain around us a little bit more. But worked out just nice. So all those aircraft there, this is Flight Beam Studios scenery, and now we'll get the APU on the bus. APU bleed on, and we got the dual bleed light. Welcome to Quito. Slow down, 10 knots to make this turn. I actually watched a landing in a real 777 Emirates cargo aircraft, and then I watched a flight in the sim. This scenery just, it looks just like the real thing. Okay, I'm turning right. Gotta look for where 12 is. I think it's either this one, I think it's the next one. Yeah, so that looks like it's 13, so it's the next one. Next one to the left. Oops, I had to turn, not brake. Aeropuerto Internacional Mariscal Sucre de Quito. Sorry if I screwed that up a bit. Okay, I do think it's This is 12 right here. Okay. So we're gonna turn right here. Okay, lights off. Let's get some ground power. Connect ground power. Ground power. Turning on. Ground power on. Okay. APU off. APU off. We didn't need that for very long, did we? Okay, let's let folks out of their seats. There we are. Now let's request deboarding.
Deboarding requested.
Okay, the jetway is coming. They shouldn't have opened the door before the jetway got there though. Fuel pumps off. Before I turn too much off, I gotta collect some data.
Passengers deboarding starting.
Okay. Let's go to ATC report. Set times. Okay, so takeoff time was 21:18. And then 22:21. Fuel remaining was 6,262 and elapsed time was 0. Well guys, thanks for joining in the flight. This is the first time I've flown into Quito. This is Payware scenery by Flightbeam Studios. And the airport has got this passenger terminal here, tower, and then the cargo in the distance there. So, thanks for joining. Tomorrow I'm back to the basics, probably Montreal Wednesday, followed by Toronto Thursday. And then we'll see what else we want to do. So, hope you enjoyed that flight. Just for grins, comparing the plan versus actual fuel remaining. The plan was 6.3 and the fuel remaining is 6.26. Now I think we would have had more if we had arrived from the north, which was the original plan, but the wind conditions kind of changed, which made it good for us to be able to come in from the south. Anyways, it's been real nice. I enjoyed taking you guys for a ride, and we'll catch you on the next live stream. Take it easy.